It is Bet the Edge here on a Friday, a non-foolishness Friday. He is Dinsick. I am Sara Perlman. Love having you guys join us on the NBC Sports EDGE YouTube channel. Here's what's to come on the episode today. We got our resident prop king, Vaughn Dalzell. He's here to let us know what he has circled on his card for tonight. And we're also going to get into his plays and how he's handicapping the home run derby early next week out in Los Angeles. Plus, PointsBet head trader Jay Croucher, he's going to stop by and discuss the most dramatic price shifts after round one of the Open Championship at St. Andrews. Also, we're going to get into the Donovan Mitchell trade rumors and how to hopefully get back involved in that market. And of course, we have our Edge of the Day and a lot more coming up here on Bet the Edge, powered by PointsBet. Drew? It's Friday. Happy Friday. What's going on?
Haven't seen you all week.
It's tough doing these two shows a week. We got to get back on track here.
Yeah, no, but honestly, with football kind of in the air and like kind of being able to put the Grand Slam tennis behind me, get a little bit better sleep. I getting good night's sleep now because I'm not like waking up worrying about some of the action that's in play at 5 a.m. in West Coast time. So,
must be nice to feel you look well rested. I'll tell you that much.
Thank you.
Looking fantastic on this Friday. Your sleep schedule probably was all out of whack, especially with tennis, even dating back to the NBA draft. We're still grinding though, but definitely a slower time. But we do have the Open Championship going on. So time zone obviously changed out at St. Andrews. Tiger, by the way, I know a lot of people paying attention early this morning. He'll miss the cut, had a nice standing ovation I saw on hole 18 just moments ago as we're live here on the NBC Sports EDGE YouTube channel. Were you involved in anything with the Open Championship? A lot of people did that on Tiger to make the cut for what it is worth.
There was a lot of sharp buzz that he was coming into this in form. But that round yesterday really kind of imploded any chances that he had. And, it's tough to see him play this way at St. Andrews, considering the way we've seen him in years past. But it's not surprising. I mean, I think the days of him realistically competing for major championships probably behind him, sadly. But still very cool part of, maybe the most important figure in all of golf, and he will be for our lifetime. So, I think, it's cool to see him at the old course one more time.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking now at the pre-tourney odds and current odds for a lot of players. Cam Young, he shot 8 under par in the first round. He was 100-1, now 8-1. You look at Cam Smith, he's the current favorite to win. Could have found him 20-1, sitting at plus 250. So obviously people were able to invest in some bigger numbers. And of course, these markets will stay open and continue to evolve as we get through the second round here. I might get involved in the live betting market, especially as we head into tomorrow, but I have not placed any as of this morning. Did you, Drew?
No, but I got to tell you, this is shaping up to be an amazing finish.
Absolutely.
Rory, DJ, Scotty, all potentially in the mix on Sunday would be unreal. Obviously, the other names in there, at the top of the board are no slouches either. Cameron Smith has had a tremendous 2022 so far. He's really growing into his kind of stardom on tour. And I think if you made me take a shot at these prices, I'll take Scotty at 10-1. It feels like he's been at the disadvantage wave wise in so many of these major championships. And if he is kind of right there knocking on the door on Saturday, Sunday, and has as good a conditions as the rest of these golfers, he's the best in this field by my money. So Scotty at 10-1 is very intriguing to me.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that price. Also, I did a show with Will Gray as we did Going for the Green earlier in the week on Tuesday, and he talked a lot about Rory, especially after round one being in the top 5-10 market. He got some good plus money around 3-4-1. Now we're looking at plus 450 to win the Open Championship. So Rory's been a good bet for us here with the Edge crew, and of course, we'll see how this plays out. But I like the look on Scotty sitting at 10-1. Hey, just a reminder, if you don't have the NBC Sports Predictor app powered by PointsBet, go download it now. The contests are free and easy to play, and you have a shot to win thousands by predicting what will happen in Major League Baseball, on the PGA Tour, and NASCAR circuit. We also have a special contest on Tuesday and Thursday called Battle of the Bets, where you can agree or disagree with our experts for a shot to collect some cash. Hey, speaking of Major League Baseball, we have Vaughn Dalzell joining us now with his plays for the day. Although I should really start with you, Drew, because all I'm hearing is that you're lights out in baseball betting right now.
Yes, he is. I'm so jealous. I need some of that Drew magic. Where'd you go on vacation again? I need to make a trip there.
Take a trip to the Sierras. You come back and you're lights out in baseball betting. It's fun how that happens, Drew.
Yeah, I'm just just sun running this week. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, well, let's ask Vaughn your plays for today. You are the prop king. You bet more baseball than probably most of us combined. So as we look at the card for tonight, the Friday night slate, getting ready for the All-Star break, what kind of catches your eye? What should we bet for tonight?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. This is honestly my favorite K-prop slate of the entire season so far. And there's so much value, I feel like, for unders and overs. But we'll talk about one under, one over. First unders on a guy we talk about a lot on this show, Mad Bum. I love me some Mad Bum. Madison Bumgarner has started 3 times against San Diego this year. He hasn't gone over 5 innings in any of those starts. He has 11 Ks over 12 innings pitched, 0-2 record, 4.50 ERA, 2.80 OBA. I mean, you look at his numbers, and he's not putting up great starts against San Diego in general. And you look at on the road this year, similar numbers, 4.38 ERA, 2.70 OBA, 0.75 Ks per inning, which is very important because with his outs prop sitting around 15.5, 16.5, that would mean he's going to need more than 1K per inning to hit the over on this. And with over 150 plate appearances against this Padres unit in particular, he only has a 20K percent, and this is the lowest K, chase, every number across the board for Madison Bumgarner this year. So I'm going to go ahead and fade the lefty. I got this at 126 this morning. I'm seeing 150 to open out on PointsBet. This was a 2-unit bet for me, but at 150, I would lean 1.5 for 1 unit. And you can see he got an over in his last game. You don't see any back-to-back overs all season on our NBC chart. So we are going under for Mad Bum in this game.
Yeah, Bumgarner, his best days throwing the baseball are well in the rearview mirror, but it is pretty clear that he's still able to give them some workmanlike innings. He's just not getting the case. So good look there. How about your over?
All right, this one is the one I'm so excited about. So this is another 2-unit bet. I'm bringing both my favorite bets today. Clayton Kershaw has been on a tear. This guy's older than Mad Bum, but doesn't look like it in any way. Kershaw in the last 2 games has let it up. He has 8 and 10 strikeouts against the Cubs and the Padres team we just talked about. And the Padres have been good against the Ks. So I really like what Kershaw's been able to do. He's only had 7 or more Ks in 2 road starts this season, which is kind of weird, but he's catching a stride right now. I think that's worth backing. And if you look at what he's done on the road, all 5 out of 6 games have been 2 or less earned runs. The only game with more was in Colorado at Coors Field, which is pretty normal for pitchers for the most part. So you could see there's been a lot of red, a lot of unders for Kershaw all year using our hit rate chart, but he's been lighting it up lately. And if you look at lefties against the Angels, particularly lately, Framber Valdez, 13 Ks, Robbie Ray, 10 Ks, Tyler Anderson from the Dodgers, 8 Ks. Outside of McClanahan and Robbie Ray, I like Kershaw to be the 3rd best guy they've faced all season. So I'm definitely taking the over 6.5 Ks. And I got this at plus money this morning, which is not a thing anymore.
Yeah, this is a really awesome look. Our edge projection has him going 1K over this, sitting at 7.5 strikeouts. He's on the road, yeah, but not too far with the Angels. That team's struggling, except when Shohei Ohtani pitches. This is a fine look, and you mentioned 8 and 10 Ks over his last 2 starts. He's been phenomenal to watch, and I know a lot of people will get involved with Clayton Kershaw getting ready for the All-Star break there, and still, of course, in California. As we look at the broader picture, we really haven't had much time to take a look at the futures market, and I know Drew and I, and Jay, who's coming on momentarily, we talk a lot about time to invest in Major League Baseball futures now, specifically because we're getting ready for the All-Star break, and there's a lot of time to find value on the boards. And specifically, as I look at the Rookie of the Year market, right, because a lot of these guys were called up more recently, and certainly some are really showing how good they are in the big leagues after time. So as we kind of look at the award market, specifically this Rookie of the Year market in the National League, where it seems like a tight race, who stands out?
Yeah, it's in the AL market, like we see it's a pretty clear race right now with the favorite, but here we see a 3-man race where it's kind of like who's going to shake out, and now we've seen Spencer Strider kind of be the guy to take the leap. Sitting at plus 160 right now at PointsBet. I mean, he's 4-2 this year, 2.56 ERA. He has 9 starts and 20 appearances overall because he was a reliever. So this is a situation where a guy's coming into the starts now. He's lit up in July. I mean, he's gone from around plus 700 to plus 800 all the way down to the favorite this month because 31 strikeouts over 16.2 innings pitched, a 1.08 ERA, and a 1.38 OBA. Now, of course, he is the favorite. There are some things I'm very skeptical about, though, when it comes to Strider. His wins this year have come against the Reds, the Nationals, the Pirates, and the Phillies. I mean, does it get any easier than that when it comes to those teams? But looking down the stretch of the season, their last 7 series in particular, they're going to be playing the Phillies multiple times, the Nats multiple times, the Mets, and the Marlins. So he definitely looks like great value. Michael Harris, his teammate, could take some away because he's hitting bombs, getting RBIs. but really it's a two-man race here. I did bet O'Neal Cruz. I would no longer recommend that. Cruz, tallest shortstop in history, 6'6", record infielding, throwing, sprint speeds records. He has all those highlights, but he hasn't put up the stats yet. And I don't think the second half of the season will be as strong as Michael Harris's is. So it's clearly the two Braves, and I think Strider is the guy to go with long term.
We're looking at the graphic, by the way, if you guys are showing this. Last month, you could have found a lot of these guys closer to the top, sitting at 16, 17 to 1. Wow. So much action has come in on the futures market, specifically this Rookie of the Year market.
Oh, yeah. It's this is the most volatile awards market that I can remember this early in the season. And, we're sitting here. It's not even the All-Star break yet. Like, this is a long way from being decided. I get why the favorites are the favorites, but if it's a total wild card surprise, I still am not going to, it's not going to, it shouldn't shock you, I guess. This is the most interesting thing going in baseball, in my opinion, the NL Rookie of the Year market. Well, actually, let me
sound very
exciting.
Exciting.
Second most interesting thing. Who can stop the Orioles? No one can stop our birds. They are taking the AL by storm. There are people I've heard in the space who have 900 to 1 on them that are riding this Orioles streak.
You would think I sent Drew a bunch of merch and he's just loving them right now, but I swear I didn't.
I bought all my own Orioles merch. I should pull out my t-shirt. I have a t-shirt right behind me. But no, I think that is my favorite story going in baseball. We do get a little bit of a reprieve from baseball next week as we get to All-Star Game, which is coming to our backyard here in LA. And the Home Run Derby is one of my favorite events, just standalone, wild, just degen on some home run hitting. And the odds are up, as we now know who's in the mix here. And, it didn't take long for some of the kind of sharper prop players that I know to just be like, look, just blind bet Alonso. He's 4 to 1. Like, don't overthink it. Is there anything that you noticed as you look across the opening odds here, and any prices that you think are worth putting in your pocket as now that we know who is in the field?
Yeah, when I saw Pete Alonso at 350 to 400s for a very short amount of time, I was like, that's worth betting, in my opinion, because it's a three-peat.
Oh, yeah.
That's the theme of the whole thing. The three-peat with the PETE. That's all you're going to see this week. That's all you're going to see leading up to it. You need it. The MLB, certainly, with the way they set this up with the 1 versus 8, the 2 versus 7s, etc., they definitely want Schwarber and Alonso in the final. There's no doubt about that. You got Albert Pujols at 8. This is his 5th time ever in this. He's never won it. He's retiring in the season. If you're betting Pujols, you should be betting McDonald's money. All right, because that is not going to go over very well, in my opinion. Schwarber's the clear guy. Looking at Soto versus Ramirez, I find this probably the most difficult, matchup to bet. But I like Jose Ramirez, to be honest. He's a switch hitter. He could bat either side of the plate. And he refused to do this multiple times. And this year he decided he wanted to do the Home Run Derby. So I do like a little Ramirez in my pocket. I think there's some value there if he takes down Schwarber. I like Alonso over Acuna. There's not much to go there. Alonso's he's Pete Alonso. And then the most interesting matchup, getting Julio Rodriguez, I would definitely bet Corey Seager over him. Seager, of course, leading all shortstops with home runs this year. He also used to play for the Dodgers, so being in that stadium, he has familiarity with them. So that definitely helps his case as well. But, it definitely Pete Alonso at 2 to 1 isn't much value and worth betting at all, in my opinion. So maybe take the Schwarber or take a shot on Jose Ramirez. But, if your book still has Pete Alonso at 350 or 400, the three-peat is on, ladies and gentlemen. So I definitely like him to take home the championship.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to fade Pete Alonso. It's obviously no secret that my fiance competed in this last year, and picking his brain just about it after, not from a betting standpoint, strictly from what it was like, your stamina has to be so high to get through a tournament, a home run derby like this, round in and round out. And I think what you have to remember is that Pete probably has the same BP thrower, which is so advantageous because you need the balls placed perfectly. Yeah. So Pete Alonso at 3 to 1, I understand 4 to 1. Why it got smashed. I hope it's Pete Alonso and Kyle Schwarber. I think that'd be the most entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see, and we'll hope for this. I look forward to watching. It's the best event, I think, during the break. But before we let you go, Vaughn, I do have to ask, the Open Championship, Drew and I talked a little bit about it. Do you have any plays that you're keeping an eye on, or a way that we should get involved in the live betting market closer to tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday?
I like what Drew said about Scotty. I've been watching him. He's looking really good. Dustin Johnson at 10-1. I mean, if you're getting DJ and he's in the competitive mode where he's, in the race for things, I love some Dustin Johnson. So he's right now the guy I'm looking at hedging, because yesterday, my friend and I, shout out to Damon, best man in his wedding, this guy hit me up and said, let's bet on Patrick Cantley and Victor Hovland. And I said, you know what? Victor Hovland, I can always get down with him. He's the new Jordan Spieth in my mind. So I got Cantley at 25-1 and Victor Hovland at 50-1. With those two guys being, top 12 right now, I like both positions. So I'm definitely going to – Scotty's already come down from 10-1 to 8-1. So Scotty's on the move. I definitely look at him and Dustin Johnson. I think those are my two favorite bets to try and hedge out my bets so far.
Yeah, well, you got two good numbers with yours, so we'll continue to root for you. Vaughn, best of luck with those plays. Enjoy your weekend. Vaughn is on Twitter at VMoneySports. He has a ton of his plays there on social media. And, of course, you can read his handicap on – like everything on NBCSportsEdge.com. Vaughn, thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend.
Thanks, guys. Let's go O's.
Hey, weekends are better with MLB Sunday leadoff coverage presented by Uber Eats. Catch the Royals take on the Blue Jays in Toronto Sunday, July 17th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, live on NBC and Peacock. To learn more, go to peacocktv.com/MLB. And if you want a chance to win $25,000 on the game, download the NBC Sports Predictor app powered by PointsBet and enter Sunday's free Grand Slam Pick'em contest. Well, got a lot of baseball out. It's time to move on, where we get to pick Jay Croucher's mind of what's going on over at PointsBet. Jay, how we doing?
Doing well. Yeah, it's a bit of a lull in the sporting calendar, but there's still a fair bit going on. So looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I want to begin here with the Open Championship and kind of what's going on over at PointsBet. We keep seeing the prices continue to move, of course, and rightfully so, as round 2 is underway. What have you seen, or what are the biggest prices of adjustment now, and kind of looking into how the weekend will play out?
Yeah, so the big one is definitely Cam Smith, my man, from 25-1 at close into now plus 250. He's making a habit of being in the mix at these big tournaments. So he's the big mover. Then I guess from a storylines perspective, certainly Dustin Johnson being in the mix from 35-1. Now down into plus 1,000, and Rory McIlroy as well, despite being very short to start the tournament. He's also firm too. So I think from a content perspective, I think a final day where it's Rory McIlroy head-to-head with Dustin Johnson, because no storylines around that.
Incredible.
That would be the thing to cheer for. And I think here as well, we'll be looking for that. It would drive a lot of in-play betting interest. I think there'll be a lot of money on Rory McIlroy in that spot, if they're willing it to happen. But yeah, that's what we're looking for at the moment.
Does this type of a leaderboard and that potential storyline suggest that this might be like the biggest golf handle you see all year, or the Masters still atop this, you think?
No, I think that if these names stay at the top, and that's the best thing. That's really what we look for in these types of tournaments, where, with all due respect to Matt Fitzpatrick at the US Open, when you can have Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson and Xander and Scotty Scheffler, like these, when the pre-tournament favorites are also the guys who are leading the way in play, then there's just a lot more activity. I think people just trust those people more in play, and so that leads to more handle.
Confirmation bias.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, I knew Rory was going to do great, and look at him, he shot at -6 yesterday. So I'm going to go bet him live now at plus 450. What I could have bet him at whatever I could have. Before
yeah, exactly. Could have gotten 10-1, but instead 450. We'll take it.
I knew he was going to do great. All right. Well, I guess I don't have much more to reflect on the Open, I guess. But did you have any thoughts on how Tiger Woods played here, and in general the betting market was favorable for you that he didn't make the cut, or is this an overplayed story?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the best bet in the business for bookmakers to take at the moment is Tiger Woods to win whatever tournament he's starting, unfortunately. But yeah, there was a lot of money on Tiger at 80-1. As you'd expect, he was just about our biggest liability. There was also a lot of money on him to make the cut at -135. And that wasn't just public money. There was a lot of sharp bettors on Tiger to make the cut, which obviously hasn't panned out. So, look, it definitely drives interest, particularly when he was at the Masters. That was the big one. But still, every tournament that he's in is going to see an increase of handle just because of his presence. So hasn't been too promising, but hopefully he's able to make a run at it and build up some health with more tournaments that he starts.
Okay, Jay, I want to get to your wheelhouse. And of course, we got to talk about the NBA because more rumors swirling, kind of news breaking, and what will happen with Donovan Mitchell. And will he be traded to the Eastern Conference? And if so, when and which team? Odds are off the board. Recent rumors say the Knicks were the favorite, the landing favorite. Now they're saying that the Jazz supposedly asked for every single player and their mother in return. So they might not be in the mix for the New York Knicks. So as we look at this market and ultimately how you guys, if the odds do get released again, and how you would bet it, what do you got?
Well, I think the thing to consider about Donovan Mitchell is he's not that good. He's very good. I think he's a top 20 player in the league, but I don't think he's as good as Paul George. I don't think he's as good as Trae Young. I think it's a debate, him and Drew Holiday, those types of players. And it's ironic because I think the closest facsimile to Mitchell over the past decade was Carmelo Anthony, who is another guy who offensively, he's a great floor raiser, but there's just questions about his resilience at the highest levels and also his defense. And so, of course, the Knicks are targeting Donovan Mitchell as they targeted Carmelo Anthony and give up the farm again. But look, I think in terms of how this would affect next season's odds with the outrights in the Eastern Conference, if he goes to the Knicks, they're not winning the Eastern Conference. The good thing for Knicks fans, if he does go there, it means you're a step closer to getting the next star as well, and then you're in the mix. But Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and Julius Randle isn't going to win the East. What would be interesting is if he went to Miami. And if Miami could keep Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, and they're able to do a deal with Hero, Robinson, and picks, then I think you would see Miami vault right next to Boston and Milwaukee as the favorites in the East. They probably don't have enough, and he probably will end up on the Knicks, but that would be the interesting one from a basketball perspective, I think.
Ooh, fascinating. And and I mean, Donovan Mitchell moves the needle for me. I mean, that gives you a home play-in game. It gives you a good chance to win on Christmas. Yeah, if you're a Knicks fan, you're pretty psyched about those outcomes, I think. So,
yeah. I think that Donovan Mitchell, if he goes to the Knicks, it means that the Knicks are competing with the Hawks and the Raptors for the 5 and 6 seeds. They're not competing with the Celtics and the Bucks.
I'd like to see him go to the Miami Heat, gladly. I know there's some issues with the front office and ownership. We'll see how that plays out, but I would like to see him go to the Miami Heat.
Yeah, no, it does feel like I ultimately though I think the parallels to Carmelo Anthony going from the Rockies to the Big Apple and the similarities in those two players in terms of what they bring offensive defenses. It's like deja vu all over again. The pivoting to the NFL here, because this is the time of year where I'm doing as much homework as possible preparing for the season. I'd like your take on how some of the kind of macro discussion is shaping the market, particularly around quarterbacks in the league. Recently, we had an NFL executive survey come out where they ranked the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, and it's not that dissimilar from what the MVP market looks like right now. And we live in a world where MVP starts and ends with the quarterback discussion. It is tied directly to how many games your team wins. When you see kind of insider opinion about quarterback skill, does that influence how you price a market like the MVP, where so much of the kind of snake eating its tail about like people in the business and the voters all collect, circling around a certain guy?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a really good point, where when the people who are similar to the people who vote on the award are giving out lists, that is instructive. I will say that it's probably not as relevant for MVP as it is, say, for comeback player of the year, which is entirely narrative driven. And when people ask me about comeback player of the year, if a writer does, it's like, well, I'm more interested in what you think than what I think. You're the one who's going to shape the market, really. But for MVP, I think the best way to look at this market always is to start with who's most likely to get the 1 seed. And we see with awards, not just with MVP, but across other sports too, is that getting the 1 seed is just so powerful. And that's where it needs to start. So that's why Josh Allen is the favorite at plus 700, because the Bills are the most likely team in the AFC to get the 1 seed. And then Brady is right behind him. And Brady has plenty of narrative as well, and is going to rack up stats and has a very good chance at the 1 seed too. I think other things with the MVP market, I would be very wary of betting an AFC West quarterback just because that division is just so stacked. And Mahomes is going to get a lot of attention, rightfully so. Justin Herbert, Wilson, even Derek Carr is an outsider. It's just going to be so hard for one of those guys to get 14 wins, even 13 wins. So that's one thing I would consider. My only other comment about that list is that Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. And I think that Lamar Jackson and that Ravens team, they were just absolutely devastated by injuries, including to Lamar last season. And I wouldn't write them off for the 1 seed. They're the favorites in their division. And Lamar, he has a chance to break the all-time yards record. I would say, I'd say every season he has a chance to do that. And so if I was making a bet on the MVP market right now, it would probably be Lamar Jackson at 20 to 1.
A lot of really good insight there. Can't disagree with anything, but I do have to push back a little bit on the AFC West comment because we did see that there was an award last year that was effectively decided by a late season, like really high profile contest. Of course, it was the offensive rookie of the year where Jamar Chase just blew up.
You just had to bring it up, didn't you?
Well, good. Just because like, is for the AFC West quarterbacks, like if that's the most compelling story in football, if that is getting, those games are getting flexed into all the prime. There are already a bunch of them in prime time at the end of the season, by the way. But like if those games are really being pushed out there and like, people are paying the most attention to that contest, even if that's ultimately for the 4 seed or the 3 seed, like I feel like there's still some chance that whoever emerges as the victor has a little bit of an inside track. Am I crazy?
No, I think that's fair. And I think that would most apply probably to Patrick Mahomes just because he has some narrative now as well without Tyreek Hill. I think the Chiefs are being a little bit slept on as well for the 1 seed. And I think Mahomes, he's Peyton Manning the sequel, where Peyton Manning would win MVPs on average every 3 to 4 years of his career in his prime. And Mahomes might just be that guy again, where he just continually flirts with 5,000 yards and he has the huge touchdown numbers. He's still got weapons. He's still got the best tight ends, arguably, in football. And he's got a lot of potentially decent tickets at wide receiver as well, where you'd expect someone like Juju Smith-Schuster in particular to have a bit of a comeback year. So certainly wouldn't write off Mahomes. He would be the one that I'd be looking for out of the AFC West. I will say that one thing is that typically in awards, I don't think strength of schedule is rewarded enough. Mike Vrabel won Coach of the Year last year because he went 6-0 against a really bad division and got the 1 seed. So I think that's just one thing to consider, is that wins will matter more overall than the quality of the wins. But certainly, if Mahomes is winning big games late in the season, that'll be an extra push.
Yeah, that's unbelievable insight. And Drew, it is a good question because just looking at the Broncos playing the Chiefs in week 18 and in primetime spots as we get closer to the end of the season, I stared at a long time over the last few weeks at Derek Carr 25 to 1. I did not pull the trigger as I was just looking at that loaded division for the reasons that maybe the addition of Devontae Adams and if they end up being in primetime in this extremely tough division, how it'll play out. But I do like your Lamar look. He won me some money for MVP quite a few seasons back. And obviously I'm a huge Lamar fan, but I will give out my edge of the day, which is QB to win the MVP in the NFL in just a few moments. In the meantime, Jay, we appreciate you joining the show every single week. Jay is on Twitter at CroucherJD, of course, as the head trader over at PointsBet. Jay, thank you as always.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Drew.
Well, I teased it there. It is time for Edge of the Day. Our best bets on the board could be today, could be a futures play, whatever you got, Drew. I am all ears.
I feel like QB to win MVP should be priced like minus 900, maybe minus 1,000. Like
I think you're looking at minus 1,000.
It's a pretty juicy price if you're just going to bet QB to win MVP. But that's
Jay said he would like to get involved with the minus 900, by the way, and I would as well. To be completely honest, I would also. You might need to get like minus 5,000.
Okay.
Off that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go for a little juicier price on the tennis court. Of course, we go back to the Hall of Fame, the Tennis Hall of Fame in Newport, Rhode Island. Beautiful, beautiful tennis being played up there this week. It's just a delightful kind of low stakes, fun crowd, and a great way to wind down after Wimbledon. And we have 2 Aussies in the late match today. It is Jason Kubler versus Duckworth, and James Duckworth is not not a player that any people would know his name, despite being in the top 100. Kubler kind of broke out at Wimbledon and has some obvious grass quality. Nice little run here in terms of opponents he has defeated, notably Felix Auger-Aliassime over a 2-day stretch in the the quarterfinals, I guess. But the matchup here between these two players is interesting because they have 3 head-to-heads. Duckworth won all 3. 2 of them were on clay, so they're not super applicable. Kubler is a much better player now than he was when they had faced each other in the past. And yet Kubler is a minus 227 favorite here, which implies that he is way, way, way superior. Like, that is a very, very steep price for 2 players who neither of which are especially outstanding. I think this is going to be a very close match. I think tie breaks are ultimately going to decide this, not unlike most of the matches we've seen at Newport this week. And for that reason, the fact that this going 3 sets is priced plus 133 is a head scratcher. This is one of those classic examples where the dog has value at the current market price of plus 175. But it's going to take a coin flip for him to actually get that ticket home. And so a better plan of attack is to bet over 2.5 sets here, plus 135 available on PointsBet right now for this to go the distance. And I think realistically, that is a fun play for what should be a very fun match.
Yeah, a nice plus money play for this Friday, plus 135. It's been bouncing around just a little bit this morning, but yeah, I like this play. Plus 135, I'll tell you, as I do on all your tennis plays. And, I actually never watched a match here, and I'm sure it is beautiful, as you said. So going to find a way to have to.
They have like these old school classic awnings with the stripes. It's
gorgeous.
It's a very like Newport, Rhode Island. If you've never been, it does.
I haven't, and everyone tells me I need to go.
It's like a little like snapshot, like back in time. Like it's like time froze there and like pre-depression. It's a very cool vibe. And a lot of old money, like super old.
We have some comments coming in. I'm not sure whether it's about the city, the history, or the games. Oh, it is about the games.
I like over 23 games. If you can find that, that would have been my go-to. But the price, at least at PointsBet, was 22.5, and it was juiced to the gills. So if you can find a 23, I think that's a fair look over.
Okay, I'm going to round us out now for my edge of the day. I talked about I was going to give out my MVP play, and it is 7-1. He is Josh Allen, and I like this play, Drew. Something you and I have talked about. Listen, if you look at the Bills, they're plus 650 to win the Super Bowl. And if you go back to 2020, where Josh Allen finished second in MVP voting, it was behind Aaron Rodgers. He had an incredible season, a good season last year. And I think this will be his best, just looking not only at their schedule, but the weapons he has and the type of protection he's going to have. It will be best to date. You look at Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Jamison Crowder. They now have James Cook, OJ Howard, Vaughn Miller. I mean, their team is so loaded. Their first week, and maybe you could find a better number live if you'd like to, obviously. They start off tough. But ultimately, I think looking at the market as a whole, and you just talked about it, it's a QB market, right? The last 9 players to win the MVP have all been quarterbacks and from playoff teams. And this is exactly what we're going to see with the Buffalo Bills. The back-to-back seasons where he's now put up over 5,000 total yards, 40 touchdowns. We're going to see Buffalo, in my opinion, win the AFC East. A lot of wins for this team, an extremely, I think, incredible playoff push. And I kind of hope Super Bowl win for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is the clear MVP. 7-1 is a good price. If you want to wait and get involved in the live betting markets as the season goes on, I think that'll be a good play too. But I don't mind betting it now at 7-1 and looking to see if you can get a better number and double dipping. I think it's his year, and he will take home the MVP for the 2022 season.
We agree on this. I think he would be my pick as well. If I only had one shot to fire, it is clearly Josh Allen. The Bills have the best roster in the NFL by a margin.
Yes.
And they have one of the easier schedules too. The key with all of this stuff, at least in my philosophy for betting, is market entry. And are you betting it at the best price you're ever going to see? And I have a hair of a pause because the toughest portion of their schedule is their first 4 games, but that cuts both ways. Like,
you get some big wins in those games.
Exactly. If they take care of business and they're favored in all these games, if they take care of business and they're 4-0, like, the ship has sailed and you're not going to get a better price. So, I think I've probably put about half the bet sizes I would if I had a little bit higher, if I felt like this was the best we were ever going to see, I would put a full size stake down on this.
Yeah, I look at them
I'm half staked on this.
The Rams, the Titans at home. and then the Dolphins, and that takes you through the first 3 weeks and getting ready for October.
Head to head between the two real MVP candidates with Lamar Jackson week 4.
Yeah.
That'd be a good
So
one.
to your point, we'll see how it plays out. I like 7-1. And if you want to get involved though, and you think that maybe they take a few losses or he's outshined in those few games, you could probably enter the market at a better price. 7-1 is good for me. Josh Allen MVP. I tail you on your tennis play. And I also know I need to visit now Newport, Rhode Island. That's on it as well. We'll do a travel show one of these days and give out our favorite cities, because every few weeks we tend to talk about where we're going and what's going on.
Cannot wait for that.
We appreciate you guys being with us here on this Friday on Bet the Edge, powered by PointsBet. For Drew Dinsick, I'm Sara Perlman. Best of luck with all your bets. Have an incredible weekend, and we will see you guys next week right here on the NBC Sports Edge YouTube channel.